Today, we're going to be talking about why your success in your business is directly related to your capacity for living outside of your comfort zone. Often, when it comes to our business, we think that we take it very personally as far as the results we're getting and feeling that it has to do with us and how talented we are and how much people like us, maybe how outgoing we are. And over again, I see with my clients the difference between people who are willing to get outside of their comfort zone and the results that they get as far as clients and building their business versus people who are not willing to get outside of their comfort zone and I would say, lack of business success and clients that they get because of that. And either way, it's not your fault because getting out of your comfort zone is not something that we want to do, right? As human beings, our brains are built to want to keep us in our comfort zone because that's where your brain knows that you are safe and you're not putting yourself in danger. And in the past, putting ourselves in danger meant, putting ourselves in physical danger as far as being physically injured, whether it was putting yourself in a bad situation where you may be attacked by a wild animal or you may fall off a cliff or, putting yourself in danger as far as maybe being hurt or attacked by another person. But now our brains really a lot of what our brain is trying to protect us from is emotional danger because our brain doesn't really know the difference. It's saying, ooh, this is uncomfortable. I want to protect you from that. But this can hold you back in your business in a very, very big way when you don't understand this or you're not aware of this. And it's something that I see again and again with coaches when they're working on building a business. So I want to make you aware of this, and I want to talk a little bit about the steps or the things that you can do that will help you start moving outside of your comfort zone so that you can get results in your business, get the results that you want. So first of all, I want you to recognize the fact that if you are brand new to starting a business or brand new to starting a coaching business, that there's a lot of things that are new to you. So you may be new to coaching, you may be new to marketing, you may be new to business and running a business, and you are probably new to sales as well. It's a lot of new stuff to learn, and anytime we're learning things that are new, we have to go outside of our comfort zone. And I think a lot of people don't recognize this. Even if you've been in business a while, I've had my business for a decade. I'm always having to learn new things when it comes to these areas. Learning new things about coaching, learning new things about how to market, about growing a business, about sales and how to get better at those things. Whether you are brand new or you've been in business a while, you're learning new things, and that is uncomfortable. We're having to get uncomfortable, not necessarily to learn the things, and this is something I'm going to be talking about, but to do the things. And this is where a lot of people get stuck, is in the learning phase, because learning is passive. And you don't necessarily have to get out of your comfort zone to learn, to consume information, to learn how to do something. But in order to do something, to take the action, to put yourself out there, to get the results, you have to go from learning, passive, to taking action, not passive, active, right? Okay. And this is what happens when we take the jump from being passive to being active and to doing things. So I want to walk you through what happens and why a lot of coaches and business owners quit their businesses or never get their businesses off the ground. And this is why, not understanding this, or not being willing to get out of their comfort zone, they forever stay in learning, consuming information, thinking about doing things and not taking the action. Or this is what happens. You take action and you get a result. So let's say I'm working on building my business and I take the action of creating, let's say, a Facebook post or an Instagram post where I put myself out there and I announce my business. And what happens is my mom likes it. Okay. Just my mom, nobody else. I don't get any comments. I'm like, oh, I finally put it out there. And I was hoping for this big result and I don't get it. And then I start thinking, I'm a failure. Nobody likes me. This is never going to work. I'm not good enough. All those things, right? We know the train that our thoughts like to go down. And then I feel overwhelmed and I feel fear and I feel disappointment and I feel not good enough. And I don't like that. I don't like those feelings. I don't know how to handle those feelings. Those feelings are incredibly uncomfortable, right? And what can happen is this can be very triggering for a lot of people because we all have a past and we all have a past where we have experienced trauma. Like, I don't know if there's anyone who hasn't experienced some sort of trauma. It may not be like a big trauma where it's like one big event, but often most of us have micro traumas, which can have to do with even being teased or getting criticism or not being acknowledged. And so it's going to often trigger our nervous system to go into fight, flight, or freeze, right? So we have a sympathetic nervous system. We have a parasympathetic nervous system. Our sympathetic nervous system is what protects us from danger. And as I was talking about in the beginning, it used to really be effective as far as protecting us from physical danger. And it's still very effective. Like, we need this, right? We need our sympathetic nervous system to protect us, to tell us to run if something is coming towards us. I mean, maybe something is falling on you, right? And it's telling you to run, like, get out of the way. So we need this. Like, our sympathetic nervous system is important. But what happens is when this is getting triggered all the time, we stay in this like high state of our nervous system being activated, and we aren't able to function well as far as doing the things that we need to do to grow our business if we are in this sympathetic state of wanting to fight, which usually isn't what we're doing, but flight, get away, or freeze, right? And freezing is like procrastination, analysis paralysis, all that stuff. And the flight piece is trying to get away, which a lot of times can come as habits like going and looking at social media then, like going and maybe emotionally eating, right? Like, we're trying to get away from those uncomfortable feelings. And so this is something to be aware of, and it's why a lot of people really struggle with building a business, okay? Because we're taking the actions, we don't get the results we necessarily want, we make it mean something, and then we're feeling uncomfortable feelings which relate back to something that we've probably felt in the past, and it triggers our nervous system and we want to get away from it or we freeze, okay? And this is something that we don't have control over. It's just happening, and it's why we need to learn how to expand our capacity for feeling things and for feeling feelings that are uncomfortable, as opposed to trying to get away from them, okay? And it's interesting because I've done a fair number of coaching programs, and it's in a lot of the coaching programs, we were taught how to become aware of your thoughts and your feelings, right? And it's one thing to become aware of them, but once again, this keeps us in our brain. It keeps us in passive, not taking actions. We're aware of it. But it's a whole nother thing to be able to then become aware of it and take action that isn't the same action that we've been taking before, which is usually avoiding doing the things that make us uncomfortable, right? Like that has been our habit. Like we get used to kind of living in a box of comfort and not going outside of that box so that we can control our circumstances and not be triggered by the things that are happening. And so this is fine, like it's a coping mechanism, but it's going to keep you from doing new things and the things that you need to do to build your business, or to do any other new thing, right? Like I think about, I just went rock climbing, and I've recently taken up like starting to learn how to surf and stuff like that. Like it's uncomfortable because I'm not good at it. I've never done it. I'm having to do something new. It may be kind of scary to do some of those things. But I have to be willing to get out of my comfort zone to do those things, right? The same really goes with having a business and growing our business. We have to get out of our comfort zone and be willing to take those actions in order to get the results that we want, okay? And the only way to really be expanding our capacity is by taking the actions, okay? And doing it little by little and continuing to do the things that are uncomfortable. And I think it's really important when we're doing these things, like we have certain patterns or habits that come up for us that are those past triggers. So I think it's important to understand your past triggers and things that are triggering for you. Like I said, if I put out a post on social media, I didn't get the response I wanted to, it's triggering, it's probably going to trigger something in me where I'm thinking I'm not good enough, or I can't be successful, or I'm a failure. And so I want to understand this and be able to look at it. And the other thing is I want to be able to start looking at these thoughts and questioning whether they are true. Is it true that I'm a failure because I put a post on social media and no one responded to it? Okay, that's what my brain's telling me. Is that true? I want to think about it a little bit. It's not. It just means I put something out there and I didn't get maybe the response that I wanted. It has nothing to do with me personally, right? So start really questioning these thoughts. Are they true? Looking at that. And then really working on feeling your feelings and not running away from them or trying to escape from them. Because you can't control the results you get in your business. You have to be willing to do things, and you're not, I would say maybe things work out 50% of the time, maybe less, like how you want them to. And so you just have to know that. Like, I don't care how long you sit and you perfect and you overthink and whatever, like maybe 50% of the time you're going to get the results you want, and maybe 50% of the time you're not. And so you have to be willing to handle not getting the results that you want, learning from that, and then taking different action. And you may be continuing this process over and over again. In fact, you are. Like, I've been in business for 10 years and I'm still doing things and not always getting the results I want, probably 50% of the time, right? Like, that's just the way it is. So I have to start getting good with expanding my ability to feel the feelings that I have when I don't always get the results that I want, because it's just part of the process. It is. And the other thing is working on calming your nervous system so that I'm not always in this sympathetic flight mode or freeze mode, And this is just something that you have to work on over time. And one of the ways that you can do this is by step taking actions and allowing yourself to feel those things and not running away from them. The other things you can do are things like, meditation and breathing and just staying really present with what's going on, as opposed to always like escaping or trying to escape. And like I said, just staying really patient with yourself and knowing that it's going to be a process. And I think this is where a lot of people get stuck, is because they think that building a business is supposed to happen super fast and they should just be able to go from 0 to 60 right away. And I will say that there's a lot of messages that we're getting out there that I think tell us that this is how it should be, and it's false. And a lot of why it's going to take some time is because we have to build this capacity of being uncomfortable and taking action even when we feel uncomfortable, and doing things and not getting the results we want and not making it mean this big thing, or in going into fight or flight mode. And the truth is, like, there's a lot of people who just aren't willing to feel the discomfort that goes along with building a business. It is a huge personal growth opportunity. In fact, I've grown the most through building my business than I have through, I would say, anything else that I've done. But it's been so uncomfortable, okay? It's been really, really uncomfortable, and it continues to be uncomfortable. And I would much rather have the discomfort, though, of having my own business and going through the things that I have to do, than the discomfort of being in a job that I don't like or that isn't fulfilling, isn't doing what I want to do. But there's a lot of people who decide that the discomfort of building a business is not worth it for them. It's not worth them being uncomfortable all the time. They'd rather be maybe less uncomfortable maybe in a job that they don't necessarily like, or the discomfort that they have with that is more tolerable than the discomfort of having a business or building a business. And so I think these are just important things to be aware of for yourself when you're making decisions, and why you're making the decisions you're making, and just knowing that it's going to be a process to increase your capacity for your nervous system to handle all the things that you have to do, all the things that are new, all the things that you have to get uncomfortably comfortable with building a business. And just something to keep in mind, and I think is important, because we're not really told this when it comes to building a business. And then we're thinking, what's wrong with me? Why isn't it happening faster? Why can't I just push through and, keep doing these things and do them really fast and get results as fast as these other people? We have to go at the rate that our nervous system can handle the capacity. Okay? So be patient. So I'd love to hear from you. Did you find this helpful? Do you feel that you get stuck when it comes to not getting the results, and your, brain starts going, and driving you crazy, and you kind of shut down and you freeze, or you try to get away and go into the flight mode? Is it helpful to be able to see it from this perspective? Let me know in the comments. And I want to thank you so much for joining me. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to dive deeper into the steps of building a coaching business in a way that feels really good, is introvert friendly, will not put your nervous system on fight or flight mode, I have a free training that walks you through that. I will link it below. And I want to thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next time.